Good morning, everybody. It is a fantastic morning out here. It's about 64 degrees, lowish humidity. The sun's coming up. Fancy has had a fantastic walk. She got to see not one, but 3 deer and a rabbit, and she's just been very excited on this walk. It's been a good morning for her. Pardon the sun if it shines over my shoulder. It's that time of day. Looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day too. Oh, she's onto a smell. Oh, she found someone's scat. That's what the problem is. She got to smell that calling card somebody left for her. All right. So it is July the 5th, the day after the celebration of 4th of July. Doing some reading and some watching of some videos yesterday, and I want to talk about at least one, maybe two, if we get time, if I don't go too long. Supreme Court rulings. So the one I want to talk about is the ruling of immunity for the President Trump, and presidential immunity, and the craziness that has flowed out of that decision is breathtaking. And it starts with the dissent by Justice Sotomayor. So this woman, now I'm going to preface this by saying it's obvious that she's intelligent. You don't rise to that position because you're unintelligent. Okay? So it's obvious that she's an intelligent person. But her dissent just highlights the madness that has infected the left. So her dissent for the decision ran along the lines of, with this immunity, a president can be free to do anything he wants, even to assassinate and jail his opponents. That's crazy talk. And I would expect more out of a Supreme Court justice, because assassinating a political rival is not part of the job description of the president. So anything he did in that respect, and it would take more than him. It would take the military, it would take bureaucracy, it would take a whole bunch of co-conspirators to do something like that. And to suggest that this ruling enables a president or some politician to do that is indicative of the madness that embraces these people. And they're telegraphing. They're telegraphing what they're doing. And so it starts there with Sotomayor, and she sets the talking point, and it flows out into the masses, and the craziness ensues. So there's a TV personality that has like 3 million followers on their X account, and they got on there and they started encouraging President Biden to jail or take out Trump. And there's media pundits, political pundits, that get up there and say it's time to protect democracy by taking out Trump. Now I realize these people are not, they are not of the majority. These people are outliers, and them calling for violence against their political opponents, people that they disagree with, is not something that most people agree with. The thing is, it doesn't take that many people to create something that can be very bad. You know, at the beginning of the October Revolution in Russia, it's estimated that the hardcore Bolsheviks only made up about 1 to 3% of the Russian population. And even by the time the October Revolution was over and they had seized control of the country, the Bolsheviks never made up more than 10% of the Russian population. Yet they created a tyrannical government that killed millions of people, that lasted for over 70 years, that 10% of the population. And even look at, yesterday was July 4th. Look at the American Revolution. The whole idea of the 3% is, now I don't know how accurate that percentage is. It makes for a good talking point, but it's close enough that it makes a great point. It emphasizes a point. I got something on my head. That it doesn't take that many people to affect change. It takes a dedicated minority to do something like that. Now, if that minority is dedicated to individual freedoms and human rights, then that can be a good thing. But if that 3% or 10% or whatever is dedicated to tyranny and subjecting people to their will, then we end up with things like Soviet Russia, Cambodia, Communist China. The list goes on. And there's some projection there, all right? The projection that the left does as they tell you what the right is going to do should they hypothetically get in charge is a projection of what they're already doing. They've already done this. The Biden administration, by any definition of the word, has been tyrannical and fascist. Just plain and simple. You go, if you disagree with me and you're in the chat, go ahead. Tell me how I'm wrong, and I will educate you on the meaning of fascism, tyranny. Fancy, what are you doing? Come on. But so we have to be careful of this. We have to watch this stuff. And it's made its way into the media. The media is promoting this stuff too. You hear it all the time. They talk about threats to my democracy. The big one now is Project 2025, which they are full court pressing the past 2 or 3 days on being a major threat to the American way of life and the future of the country. Now, if you don't know what Project 2025 is, they say it's President Trump's idea, but it's not. It's actually something that's being promoted by the Heritage Foundation, which is a very conservative think tank. I read their articles all the time, and I recommend you go check them out too. But it's a project where they got a bunch of conservative lobbyists together, and they came up with a plan to take back the bureaucracy, because that's honestly where the major threat to democracy lies, is not in some hypothetical what Trump may do or what his followers may do. The threat to American democracy is the unelected bureaucracy that rules by fiat through rules and regulations that are not passed by Congress. That's where the truth threat is. But that's another conversation. So anyway, you got this bunch of lobbyists. They come up with an idea how to take back the country and put the country back on a constitutional path. And you can see the panic in these people's eyes whenever they start talking about it. In fact, who was it? Liberal Hive Mind. If you don't watch him, it's an interesting channel to watch. But anyway, he did one of those montages of about 50 news broadcasts where they were literally saying the same thing about it, verbatim. And you see those all the time. But they're terrified. They're terrified that the unelected infrastructure that tyrannizes the American people every single day will be dismantled. And the people at Project 2025 came up with a list of about 20,000 government positions, something like that, some incredibly large number. This huge list of positions where they could fire the people that are in it and put like-minded, conservative, constitutional-minded people in it, and it would completely change the face of the bureaucracy and put it back on the right path. You know, and that scares the left. You know, they're like, how do I put this? Okay, you guys ever watch boxing or MMA or something like that, or even a street fight? You know, you've got these people that telegraph what they're going to do. Sorry, I had to grab the leash behind me. You got these people that telegraph what they're going to do, and there's two reasons why they do it. The first reason is because they're inexperienced and untrained. The second reason that they telegraph is because all they have in their toolbox is brute force. And that is exactly why the leftists start screaming about what they're going to do, or what the right is going to do should they get put in charge. You know, you got people like Joy Reid, who, quite frankly, has to be one of the stupidest people in the world. And I say stupid, I don't say dumb. Dumb you can't fix. Dumb is something that just comes naturally to people. Stupid is usually a choice, and she is stupid, and she's one of many that fall into that category in my mind. But they start talking about how if Trump gets elected, they'll be doing their show in camps, and these are the same people, the same exact people, who not more than 4 years ago were advocating the possibility of putting people that did not want to take the clot shot into camps. They were literally advocating it. And so they all they have is brute force in their toolbox to control people, and they're willing to use it. You know, let's be quite frank about it. You know, the United States government, run by leftists, is the only entity I know that has burned out families and killed children and women and stuff. Now, there's one there now. Hold on a second. They're gonna say, what about Oklahoma City? Well, there's pretty good evidence that Oklahoma City was done by a bunch of leftists and supported by the government. There's pretty good evidence there, or a pretty good argument to be made. I'm not saying it's evidence. I'm going to say there's a pretty good argument there that that's the case. But the fact is, the United States government is the one that has done stuff because it doesn't have a monopoly on force, but it's trying to get a monopoly on force. That's the reason why the Second Amendment is all under attack. All right, and let's talk about that for a second. I'll probably bust this one up into another video. They lay the groundwork, and they say stuff like presidential immunity will give the president the ability to assassinate somebody, and it flows downhill, and it gets into the hands of the people that come up with punch a Nazi, and they get to decide who Nazis are, and they get to decide who gets punched and who doesn't. Right? That's not the way our country works. That's not the way. Oh, hang on. You guys stand by. Fancy's probably going to flip out here in just a minute, because there is a great big doe standing out in the middle of the road. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can get you a picture of her. Can you guys see her? All the way down there in the middle of the road. That is so cool. Okay, so Fancy's probably going to jerk on the leash here in just a moment when she sees that deer. So just stand by, because it's going to happen. But anyway, kind of got off on a tangent there, but that's what I wanted to talk about. You know, the telegraphing of what they want to do to people, the hysteria behind decisions that are made and what's being said, and just the general insanity that has been unleashed. Oh, Fancy's not going to see the deer because the deer took off before she saw her. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. You know, how do we combat it? Be informed, work on your critical thinking skills, be able to cut through all the rhetoric from both sides, because there's as much hysteria on the right as there is on the left. The hysteria on the right doesn't tend to lead to violence like the left does, but it can. If you guys want to comment down below, let me know what you think. Tell me if you think I'm off base here. Tell me if you've seen it like I've seen it. Tell us how we can combat this. Tell us how you think we should address this stuff. If you want to support the channel, biggest thing you can do is subscribe. We appreciate it. Go down below, hit our affiliate links. I'm working on at least one affiliate deal with a company I just started doing business with that I am so far extremely pleased with, and I'll share that once we get that figured out. But I'm extremely happy with them. Saved me quite a bit of money just in one instance. Oh, she found the smell. She's trying to figure out what was here and what it was and where she needs to be. Look at that. Look at that. You see the smoke coming out of her ears. She is thinking so hard. Come on. But you guys, come on. You guys are the best. You make it all worthwhile. Tell you what, go out today and live a lifetime free. All right, take care. Thanks, Milo.